If any of you have been longing to wear your furry slippers to church, 3:45 in the morning, it's a good time. I got a lot of feedback last week on this 10:30 service. I talked about furry slippers, and I have been plagued with people saying that they ought to be able to wear them wherever they wanted, so I won't make any more comments about furry slippers. Living in the light of truth, one of the things that came to my mind, and it comes to my mind on a fairly regular basis, as I'm sure it does yours, is what to worry about. You know, because there's a lot of things you can worry about. And normally what happens for me is I pick something that I can worry about that really isn't going to get fixed. Because I really want to be sure that my worry is substantial, has support, and that people agree that the thing I'm worried about is really worthy of worry. And I want you to think about how we do that. Isn't that amazing, though? And I don't think I'm the only one that does it. Judith mentioned, casually that we're needing about $5,000 a month more than we're probably going to create. No problem. And of course, immediately this cold, icy feeling goes through me, and I have my near-death experience. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do? I need to worry. That'll do it. And so I was invited to an event where a lot of people who are very challenged in life would come together and create things and sell them. And they're really challenged, a lot more than I think I'm challenged. They're not worried. I'm the one who's worried. And I go there and I meet a social worker, and he said, I don't have a job. I work for the county, but I was let go. And I said, what happened? He had a story, too, about what happened to him. He said, my specialty is elder care. And I thought, wow. And then suddenly this light went off. What if we put together a program for older people, some of which are already us? We could actually go to that program. We'd be there to help. I thought, wow. And then another little thing came to mind. Well, that won't work. Well, why? I don't know. But it won't work. Okay. And it wouldn't leave me alone. So I went back and I said, well, what about if it could work? What we need is not just a new idea. We need a new question. We need to create a question that when it's answered could bring us something better than something worse. The tendency is to notice what's wrong and keep noticing it. Did you ever have a child and have to say, stop picking at that. You're going to make it worse. No matter what it was, they had to pick at it until they made it worse. And then they would come running to you, it's bleeding. I told you not to pick at it. You're making it worse. We just pick at stuff until we make it worse. It hurts. We need to stop doing that whenever and wherever we can. So the idea morphed into something more, and then I checked with our person on the board who has insurance savvy. And in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, I wonder what she'll think of it. She came in on Saturday, and I happened to be here, and she said, I love it. It's a great idea. And we can do it. Okay. Is this going to solve all of our problems? No single idea will solve all of your problems, because as soon as you get all of those problems solved, you get something you haven't ever had before. That's just part of the territory. So I want to shift gears now, and I want to look at a different model. Some of you are familiar with Joseph Campbell. Incredible man. He talked about a thing called the hero's journey. And if you boil down the hero's journey, what it really is a person in pursuit of a new idea being realized. The hero says, I know there's peace out there. I know, I can find it. I can feel it. I know there's an end to that war. I know where the Holy Grail is. And everybody in his planet says, how do you know that, and who do you think you are? And he said, not much, probably not very well equipped, but I have a mission, and it feels like the thing I need to do, not because I'm so equipped, but because I'm on fire. And so he begins his journey. And everything that happens to him by his general standards is what's wrong. He walks out and he puts on his gun if he has to battle war, and he notices it doesn't shoot very straight, doesn't shoot very far, and he doesn't have very many bullets. Next thing he does is he dresses for the bad weather, and it's worse. And next thing he does is he tries to trust somebody, and that person becomes more untrustworthy than anyone he's ever met. Now, the option is, of course, to say, it's a cosmic sign, I need to quit. I need to go home and just watch TV. No, what he says is, great to have that out of the way. Great to have that unmasked. Great to be able to see the possibility and head in that direction. So the hero's journey is really a reinterpretation of every event that happens in favor of the outcome that the hero is going to manifest. And if you think about it, the hero manifests the outcome. Or it comes through him because it's possible. Now, have you ever noticed that in a lot of the movies we have, the hero has a sidekick? And the sidekick does not believe in almost anything. And so when they get into battle, you know, the sidekick gets wounded and the hero gets wounded and the sidekick says, I told you it's going to kill us. We're not going to make it. We're going to be dead in an hour. And the hero says, yeah, I just lost one arm. I got another one. Whew, that wasn't so bad. And the sidekick says, I don't understand. We see the sidekick is invested in the old idea that things like this just don't work. The difficulty most of us are having is we're invested in an idea of things not working that we're trying to overcome by not changing it, just sort of not looking at it. And then it shows up. And really what we have to do is to say, that's just not an idea that I'm going to service anymore with my conscious mind. What I know is the placebo effect is more than an effect. It is what happens when I believe in my consciousness and everything in my consciousness changes in favor of the outcome that I would like to see happen. And when that happens, miracles, what we think are miracles, occur when actually all it is a divine alignment with the greater mind that says yes. Many heroes have done extraordinary things that they couldn't possibly do because in the midst of having to get their mission completed, they didn't see an option like laying down and dying. So they went ahead and picked somebody up while they were wounded, carried them 300 miles, and set them down and then passed out. How do you do that? Well, you see, when the intention is bigger than the thing that hurts, then the intention is what gets followed. When the thing that hurts is what you give your attention to, it really hurts. I worked some time back with a man who'd had a stroke. One of the things that happens often for people who have a stroke is they lose some strength in the hand or in the side of their body that is affected. And I said, how hard can you squeeze my hand? And he said, well, you see, since I've had the stroke, only this hard. I said, so I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine with me before you had the stroke. And I want you to squeeze my hand like you would if you hadn't had a stroke. Show me as much of that as you can. He squeezed my hand a lot harder. And he began to tear. And I said, what's wrong? I mean, I thought he was hurting. He said, I didn't know that my conversation about my stroke was bigger than my limitations. And it woke him up. And I said, what are you going to do? He said, when I go to physical therapy, I'm going to stop arguing with my physical therapist, explaining how my stroke has affected me. I'm going to start moving like I never had a stroke. And he reported back to me that life went a lot better for him. Then he didn't not have to do it. But you see, some of us are doing all we can in the midst of what we're saying to ourselves, which is, I can't do this. I can't do this. Well, that I can't do this is a placebo. It's affecting you profoundly.